quick and spry. Through the city he weaves like a bird in the sky. The legend of the electric scooter guy. No gas, no fumes, just a hum in the air. A helmet on crooked like he doesn't care. With a backpack full of snacks and a gleam in his eye. He's the hero we need, the electric scooter guy.
Gear up, scooter fam. Today we're gonna do a 4 scooter comparison. I was talking to my buddy and he's kind of looking at it to get his next scooter. It's the guy that I mentioned before. He has the Segway Max G3, Apollo City, and Apollo Phantom, a few others. But he let me test. I've tested all those, 3 of those. So he's looking to get it in his next scooter, and what he really wants is something, you know, the most bang for the buck, lots of performance, but he really doesn't want to spend over $3,000 on his next scooter. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. In my mind, you know, that's probably the meat of the market. Like probably, like everybody. I mean, you got your basic scooters. People who are just learning scooters. They're getting in. They're buying these entry level scooters for $200 or $300, and then, you know, based on, you know, on how that goes, they go up to their next scooter, and their next scooter, maybe they spend $1,000. Like me, I went from spending about $500 to about $2,000, and that's pretty normal, right? I don't think that you're gonna go like, oh, I spent $500 and I'm gonna spend $600 and I'm gonna spend $700. You know, you're gonna spend like, say, $250 to $500 on your first scooter. Most people are gonna spend maybe on the lower end of that. They don't want to get into it too much, but you know, if you want a little something, you want to make sure you got a little something for your money. Like me, I spent $500 on the Journey Max. Still a very entry level scooter, with a little bit more, you know, hidden specs than you would anticipate. So that being said, you know, I want to do this 4-way scooter comparison, looking at 4 different scooters for under $3,000. So like I said, I believe that's probably a majority of what I've seen. People that are serious about scooters are looking in. Some people are looking at $4,000 plus, but a lot of people are looking between that $2,000 and $3,000 range. That's honestly, that's as far as, like, besides just the basic entry level scooters, that's got to be the biggest part of the market. All right, so the 4 scooters I'm going to be talking about today: the Inmotion RS Jet, the new Jet scooter, which I think is an awesome deal. The RS6 Ultra from Roadrunner. The Segway GT3 Pro. All 3 brand new scooters. And then I'm going to toss in the Nami Burn-E2 just for fun. Just for funsies. All right, so let's take a look at the Inmotion RS Jet. And once again, I've talked about a couple of these before, the Jet and the RS6. I haven't really touched on the GT3 Pro. I may do a separate video on that in the future, dedicating a video just to it. But the Segway GT3 Pro, the RS6, and Inmotion RS, all 3 new scooters. And like I said, I'm going to toss in the Burn-E2 Max. Sorry, not the Max, just the base Burn-E2, because it's under $3,000. And I believe it competes well for that price with these scooters. So I'll toss that one in there. And right now it's $29.99 at Wired Rides. So starting off, the Inmotion Jet is the newest scooter released at for sale at Voro Motors. It is the 25 amp hour 72 volts system. I'd rather at least see said it was going to be 30 amp hours rather than 25. I thought it was going to be the same specs as the Lite. It seems like maybe just a little bit even further down from that, which is all right. But the $2,300 price tag is just, I still think, really good deal. It says it has a 50 mile an hour top speed, 56 miles of range. It's got a touchscreen, which I think we talked about before. I mean, I think performance, it's you know, for the money, you got 11-inch, you still got 11-inch tires, you still got adjustable suspension, that's even easier adjustable than it used to be. I really like this scooter. I think it competes with, you know, for me, like at $2,300 with my Klima. You know, even the Klima, like, I'm almost like, this thing would, you know, come close to competing with my Klima, honestly, for what it can do. It's very interesting. The one knock that I've got on it, that I didn't realize right away, were that the handlebars are kind of like that locked in proprietary style handlebars, which means that you'll have trouble adding accessories to it, or changing them out. So you could probably try to find something, but it's not going to be as easy to work with. So unlike the Klima, or the Burn-E in this case, I switched out the handlebars. You know, I can do whatever I want to that thing, and it's so customizable and so friendly to other third-party accessories. So I like that part about, you know, scooters that have that, and this one went the other way. It's got an interesting handlebars that cannot be changed out. You maybe could find an extender to put on there to kind of give you some options, but that would probably be it. It's just not very customizable friendly from the handlebars standpoint. Other than that, I do like the scooter. It's really nice. Like I said, $2,300 is a deal. I think there's a $50 code floating around out there somewhere. So, you know, $22.50 plus tax. Not sure about shipping. It says fast and free shipping. I try to hold on to that if I bought it, because they have this right here. But that's just me. Let's see. Once again, let's take a look at the spec sheet. So spec sheet says 50. I thought I seen 55. So it's 50 to 55, somewhere in there. 56 mile range is probably very generous. I'm guessing, but I think that's tested. Battery, once again, 72 volt, 25 amp hour. Charge time is 9 to 10 hours. Controller, 40 amp sine wave controllers. And not bad, not really bad in general at all. 1200 watt motors. 330 pound max weight. Weighs less than 100 pounds. So really close to, like, once again, like the Klima. I think the Klima is like 88 or something like that. It's got an IPX6 water rating, which is great. Once again, got a touchscreen display, thumb throttle, 11-inch tubeless tires, fully hydraulic brakes. So, very nice scooter indeed. Very nice indeed. Like I said, at the end, I'm going to rank them all to which ones I like best. I'm not even sure right now. I'm just kind of going as I'm going through. I know during my buddies and mine discussion, we talked about several things, and I have my favorites in here, but I'll figure all that at the end, and I'll give you a rank from 1 to 4. All right, the next one up on the list is the RS6 Ultra, and it's $28.99, a little bit more expensive than the RS Jet. But if you take into consideration that they add tax to the Jet and not to the RS6 Ultra, it's not as bad as it seems. So the RS6 is very nice. $28.99. Of course, it's not a 72 volt system. It's the only scooter in here that has a 60 volt system. So it's a little low in that regard. It does have a 35 amp hour battery, which is quite decent for a 60 volt battery. And it has all, it's, like the RX-7, it has all, it's completely spec'd out. It's got the nut hydraulic brakes, it's got PMT tires, the IP rating is IP67, it's got KKE shocks, and it's got a name brand battery. I don't know if it's LG or, sure, we'll see in a second. I'll take a look at the spec sheet here. Let's go ahead and do that. The battery is a Samsung, so I knew it was Samsung or LG or something like that. So we got Samsung cells, 35 amp hour. Says it'll hit 60 miles an hour top speed. I would like to see some real tests done on that, not from independent testers. Only because it's a 60 volt system, and I can't think of a 60 volt system. And it doesn't mean I know everything. But most of the ones that are 60 maybe go like 50-ish, So getting 60 miles an hour out of a 60 volt battery, if you can do it, I'm just curious how well you can do it. It may take forever to try to get up there once you're trying to reach 60. So, you hit 50 and it takes you, 30 minutes to get to 60. I don't know. It's something to that. I just don't see it being, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong, otherwise. But just based on, some of my experience and what I've seen going around as far as these types of things, there aren't too many 60 volt scooters pumping out 60 miles an hour with no problem. So I think to get comfortable in that range, you need like 72 volts. Just my opinion. Interestingly enough, the RS Jet only goes like 50 to 55, and it's got a 72 volt system, 40 amp sine wave controllers. And this has 60 amp controllers, I believe. But once again, we're talking about a 60 volt system. So, the Klima 60 volt, it won't even get up to like 45 solid. It does a great job of getting up to where it gets up to, no question about it. And could it do more? Probably so. Like I said, there are other 60 volt scooters that'll get up to in the 50s pretty well. But like I said, it's going to trail off. It's got to trail off by then. And if it does get to 60, GPS not on the display, then I think it'll get there very slowly. Once you get up to like I said, like 50, I'm pretty sure it does a great job. It's a sweet scooter, really nice. But the 60 miles per hour, I got a question mark. I got my questions. All right. So that is the Roadrunner RS6 from all right, let's take a look at the Segway GT3 Pro super scooter. It's finally not for sale, but it's finally listed as coming soon on Segway's site. I did see it for sale on a different third-party site. I didn't know too much about them. I just happened to do some research and found that somebody had it for sale prior to Segway, which is interesting. And they were like $24.99 for a pre-order, so $2,500, and then here it's saying $26.99. So, a couple $100 more. But here's some early pictures. I think we've seen some videos and so forth of it. But my buddy is a huge Segway. He's got tons of Segways. He loves Segways, and he's really possibly leaning towards getting this GT3 Pro, because he loves Segways, and this is of course their newest, most exciting scooter at the moment from Segway, and it's not bad at $2,700, but I'm pretty sure they tax onto the Segways as well, and so it's going to be closer to that $3,000 range. 50 miles an hour is top speed, just like the RS Jet. This is also a 72 volt system. It states 86 miles of range, but that's probably not true. It says at 15.5 miles an hour. And why would you buy a GT3 Pro if you're only going to go 15.5 miles an hour? That's the part that doesn't make sense. Like, anyway, moving on. It's got dual suspension, 0 to 30 in 3.9 seconds. It's pretty decent. 11-inch self-sealing tires. Traction control. My buddy said he didn't really like the traction control. Segway, when he first got it, he's got the Max G3, but he said it's kind of grown on him, and now he's really kind of wanting something like that on for his next scooter. Here's a spec sheet. Max weight is 335 pounds. Payload. Race mode is 34 miles of range stated. 45 miles of range at in sport. And then, of course, eco, 86 miles. I don't believe you'll get... It's debatable. 20, 30 miles would be my guess on all out, riding around. Nominal capacity is 30 amp hours. Well, that's actually not bad. I thought it was only 25. If that's true, we might get closer to 30. Not bad. Not bad in general. I will say this, and I think it's a matter of people's perception and kind of what Segway is trying to do here. But I feel like for me, this is kind of a step down from the GT2. The GT2 was really nice. I think this is okay, but I don't think it's as nice, or certainly not nicer than the GT2. So. I think a lot, like I told my buddy, that I feel like they came out with a $4,000 scooter. They designed a $4,000 scooter and realized they could only sell it for $2,500, and that's not something they wanted to continue doing, and so they replaced it with a $2,500 scooter. And this scooter is a $2,500 scooter, and nothing more. But it is a $2,500 scooter. I will give it that. And for what it is, it's not terrible, but it's not the GT2, or certainly not an improvement on the GT2, my opinion. And then finally, the Nami Burn-E2 2025 edition. I don't think they updated it, but these are the most recently ones that were shipped. So it's a 2025 edition. Let's see if I can find a spec sheet on here. I know it goes, says 45. I thought it would do like 50, 45, 50. I know the max will do 50 to 55. I thought this was like, just behind that. But it could be 45, and 45 is very close to what my Klima gets. But it is a 72 volt 30 amp hour as well, which is pretty standard, I think, for 72 volts, which, like I said, for the Jet, and I thought the GT3, but I was mistaken about that. It has dual sine wave controllers, 40 amp controllers in the Burn-E. Tires, 11-inch tires, max load of 265, so not quite as nice on that, although I think it probably could support 265 pounds, a lot better than some, possibly who quote more than that. But 5 to 10 hours charge time. Suspension is amazing, with the KKE shocks. Has a large TFT display, 2-piston Logan hydraulic brakes, and IP rating on IP55. IP55 is okay. It's decent. It's what I have on my Klima as well. Like I said, for anything new coming out, I would expect more than that. But it's okay for the scooters that are out there that are already in production, and I think 5 is okay. It's not terrible. It's okay, even if they came out with something that wasn't. But once again, when you're looking at something that has been, which I think all 3 of these are IP6 rated minimum, then I think you're competing with those types of things, and people want to have longevity, and they want to make sure that if they happen to hit a puddle, that something's not going to mess up, and that's just part of the future of growing with these things. They're going to have to be IP something 6 rated, and I don't care. That's PEVs in general, e-bikes, scooters, unicycles, whatever it is. They've got to be rated high for water resistance. As we move into this time that we're in. All right. I think with the Burn-E, what you're really getting for your money, and it's $3,000, so it's at the top of this range. What you're really getting is handling. You're getting the suspension is magnificent. You're getting a well-designed scooter, and with great acceleration. So even the Klima, which doesn't do as nice as the Burn-E2 or the Burn-E2 Max, goes 0 to 15 in 2 flat. So this is a sub 2 flat 2 second 0 to 15, which is up there with the fastest scooters there are. And so Nami's never had an issue with comfortability, plush ride, along with zippy acceleration. So along with it being comfortable and just being able to get up and go, they nailed it on that. And like I said, their scooters are really well designed. I don't have any doubts after owning the Klima that the Burn-E2 is a really well-made, nice scooter to ride. I would personally wouldn't mind trying out to ride a Burn-E2, but not sure how that would take place. But because there's nowhere, I don't ever see Nami doing anything. They're certainly not going to be at the expo, that kind of thing. So they need a U.S. rep or something. I don't know. But in any case, those are my 4 picks to compete with, and I'll sort of talk about my favorites a little bit, and then I'll give you my ranks. I'm going to do that now, and then we'll watch some ride footage to wrap it up as we usually do. All right, so my number 1 pick, bang for the buck, I still like the RS Jet. I really do. I think my buddy, I told him the same thing. Like, it's probably my favorite. I think you get most for the money. I know it only has the 25 amp hour battery. I really wish that was a 30. Everything else has a 30, and I thought that was not true with the GT3 Pro, but I stand corrected. However, I still like the Jet. I think it's really well designed. I love that you can adjust that suspension, the level of the deck. I love that. Can't say enough about it. You choose the ride that you want, and I don't know. It's my favorite thing about the scooter. It's my favorite thing about the RS, and it's the same thing. It's my favorite thing about the Jet, and that just, to me, that's so much control over the feel of your ride. It's ridiculous. So Big fan of the RS Jet. For the money, just a big fan. So I like the RS still better than the RS Jet? Yes. If you're gonna spend that kind of money, I think the RS is still very worth that money. And I actually think it's a pretty good deal now, considering it's like $3,500, and you could probably get like a $200 discount with ESA midnight. So you can't beat those. I still think they're great deals. But my favorite, and for the bang for the buck, is the Inmotion RS Jet. And like I said, it's got the 72 volts. It does everything else just about as well as can be done for what these others are offering. And so I gotta go with the Jet on this one for my number one. For my number two, I think I'm gonna go with the RS6 Ultra, and it's $100 cheaper than the Burn-E Max. It's only a 60 volt system, so I'm kind of hesitant to to even give it my second place, because it is a 60 volt system. But it's just got the nut hydraulic brakes, it's got the PMTs, it's got a 67 IP rating, KKE shocks. I mean, all these have a high IP rating, and 67 to me doesn't mean anything more than 66, in my opinion. None of them are going to be rated for tossing them in the lake, so once you get to that point, it's kind of, whatever you're talking, you're just kind of, it's marketing. So, 3,000 watt dual motors, I believe that's 1,500 a piece. Samsung 35 amp hour. So I do really like it, and I like that, and I love the way it looks. I really like the way it looks. It's super impressive, kind of like the RX-7, scaled down version of the RX-7, but still gives you the spec out. You still get the spec out with the PMTs, the KKEs, the nut, the Samsung 35. I mean, it's got what it's spec'd out, right? It's got all the bells and whistles. For the price, I think it could be a little bit better. Would be a better deal, but considering what we're looking at, staying under $3,000, I still like it at the current price, and it is my number two pick. My number three is going to be the Burn-E2. Just because I have experience with the Klima, and I know what the Klima is, and like I said, I would love to find out, what the Burn-E2, would feel like to ride, or the Burn-E2 Max, either one. It's probably not a scooter I would own. Once again, I already have the Klima, and I don't have a need for it. Doesn't mean I'll never own it. No, I really like it, and sometimes you just find a good deal, you'll take it. I will anyway. So you never know. The situation came up, but I don't believe I'm in the market for a Burn-E2 anytime soon. That being said, but I still like it, and it is my number three pick. You've got the 72 volts system here. You got 11-inch tires. This thing rides better than anything else on this list. I guarantee it. As far as a smooth ride, it's the best on the list. The acceleration may be the best on the list. It'd be tough to compete with. Inmotion is supposed to be really good too, but it's definitely up there. It's standing behind nobody on this list. I'll put it that way. Nobody's is taking a back seat to nobody of these four. So it pulls its weight. It pulls its weight in this category. It is 3,000, which is the highest of the prices. But when you consider the GT3's got taxes, could end up being just as expensive, or a little bit more depending. So the Burn-E2 gets my number 3 pick, leaving the Segway GT3 Pro as the 4th pick. Now, these are all 4 great scooters. That doesn't mean the GT3 Pro is crap. And just because I ranked them this way doesn't mean that I would necessarily buy them in this way. I like the GT3 Pro. I've thought about it before. I do think it's a good deal. I think them making a $2,500 scooter was a smart idea, and I think they've done a decent job with that. But it's not. I don't. It's not realistic to compare it to the GT2. Just my 2 cents. So, do I think it's worth 27? No, I think it's worth 25. I think it's a $2,500 scooter. I wouldn't buy it for more than $2,500. And it's my number 4 pick. Let's watch some footage. All right, we're going to be taking a ride on the Nami Klima today. In the video, anyway. We're going to be taking a ride on the Klima, and we're going to be going to, I believe, get something to eat. I'm going to go to Slotsky's, go through the drive-thru again, which I've done before in the past. And so I decided to take the Klima to get some Slotsky's for lunch or whatever. So anyway, this is a trip I like to take. One of the reasons I like to take it is there's just a stretch of bike lane that I like to use. And in this particular case, although it is kind of, I know it's kind of interesting, but I do like using a bike lane. I'm not a big fan of the bike lane in general, mainly because that's where all the crap gets pushed off to the side of the road is in the bike lane. So any kind of rocks, nails, it all gets swept off to the side. So whoever's riding in the bike lane, that's the leaves, everything you have to contend with on the road gets kind of pushed over to the side of the road there, which is where the bike lane is. And so you got a bunch of things that can mess up your ride, give you a flat, cause an accident, something like that. So I don't like necessarily going in the bike lane. But on a busy street, and I mean, that's, like I said, it's kind of, whatever. That's another thing I don't like necessarily about riding in a bike lane, or that cars, can kind of run you off the road a bit. Sometimes figuratively, sometimes literally. They'll come glaring by you and feel like they're gonna knock you off, and then sometimes they literally get over on you and knock you off the road. So something to take into consideration. Now, I hadn't changed my speaking of the Klima, I hadn't changed my handlebars yet in this video. I have changed them since this video, and I'll have to do another ride, and I am going to talk about that. But in this video, that's one of the things I was gonna discuss, and I'll put a picture up so you guys can see the picture of the handlebars and what they look like now. But I ended up using the Voro handlebars that I got for free from Voro Motors to put on the Klima. I love the way it looks. And now I did still have the extenders on there. Now I've taken the extenders off. I've rearranged everything. I've got enough room. I can still reach everything that I need to. That wasn't true with the old handlebars because of the size. As you can see there, everything's really cramped, and there's just not a lot of room to work with. and so I was able to get rid of my extenders, or take them off. I still have them, but they're no longer on the handlebars. So I was able to remove them from the handlebars, and I was able to keep everything, you know, nice and laid out there. And I took the mirrors off, although I am considering putting one back on, because I have my left mirror now on my helmet that I wear anyway with the unicycle. So there's no reason for me to have a left mirror. That works better than any left mirror I've ever had on a scooter, because I can move it around with my head like this very simply. It's like having a magic you know, way to move your mirror. You know, it's really difficult to do with any other kind of mirror. Even in a car, like, you can see behind you, but you can't move it. Like, it's stuck in the position. All you got to do is you can twist your head, look up, look down, you know, and then, you know, zoom in, you know, pretty much focus in on whatever it is that you're trying to focus on. So you want to look directly behind you, you can look directly behind you. You want to glance over to the left, you kind of want to sweep it, you want to go up and down, whatever you want to do. It gives you the freedom to just, you know, do like this and just, you know, check everything. And it's just really super intuitive, and I like it a lot. But I do have my right hand mirror for my this is what I wear with my gear on my electronic unicycle. You guys can see that. So I'm using it now, and since I've gotten to the point where I can use my hands for stuff, I could check my phone. When I first started riding the unicycle, even, you know, just for a test, you know, I didn't even have the phone, I didn't have anything in my hands, but just as a test, because I didn't know how fast I was going. And the only way I could know how fast I was going is to look down at my phone. I don't even have a speedometer on my display on the EUC. So it just gives me a battery level. And so when I'm riding, I have to be in the app to see my speed, or an app that shows me my speed. And so I have to look down at the phone. And when I first was riding, and I didn't know how fast I was going, I couldn't even move my eyes. Like, I couldn't even glance down without feeling like I was gonna lose my balance. And that's much different now, and all that just comes naturally. You know, I have no idea why I can now do stuff, carry stuff with my hands, look at my watch, tap on my phone. You know, I'm still not as good as like some people, because they've been riding for like a long time, and they could probably juggle, you know, or something like that, or play catch. But me, I'm to the point where I'm using my, you know, I can change my mirror. There's really, you know, a lot of things, but in any case, I love that mirror, and so I'm using it on all my vehicles, and I'm using it on, there's no need for me to have a left-hand mirror now on any of my vehicles. I'll probably keep it on the, I say probably because I may or may not. I may keep it on the Apollo City. Although if there's I don't know if there would be, but if there's a way for me to work it out where I could put one on the City and one on the Go, then I might do something like that if it'll fit. I think those mirrors are supposed to be able to fit the Go, so we'll see. But there's not a lot of room on those handlebars in the Go. They're this big. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. And I'm supposed to get a handlebar extender. I ordered a handlebar extender back when I got my City, actually, and they're in a back order. And I've been in contact with them, and they're supposed to be here with like in another week. So hopefully, I'll hear something pretty soon on those, and I can either use that for my Apollo Goes. I don't know. I just got it for options. So I have a Apollo handlebar extender. Like I said, for options in case I want to, there's more things I want to do. So, but I only need the right hand mirror now. On my scooters, I have the one, of course, on my EUC, but I don't need left hand mirrors anymore because I have that helmet mirror, and I'm going to use it every time. There's not even a maybe. It's just too easy and too convenient. And shout out to Pid Zoom, I love it. And like I said, I'm hooked on it. I just love the freedom and availability of just looking wherever you want to look at. Pointing the mirror wherever you want to point it at with just a slight move of the neck and tilt of the head. So really cool. Can't say enough about that. Now, I will. So, as I was saying, I went ahead and took all my stuff off. I've got the one handlebars. There's nothing else. There's no mirrors. Well, I'm gonna put a mirror down on one, on the right side of the Klima, but there's no other things on there. There's it's all just the handlebars, and I love the way it looks, and everything feels really nice. And even I haven't taken it out since I removed those extenders. So at first I left the extenders on, and then I removed them. So I've taken those off, and I'm excited. I'm excited to get out, maybe try that. Like I said, I've ridden around now. I know what it kind of feels like, but now that I've got the stuff moved around, not that I use those things. The things that were on there were the NFC unlock mechanism, and then the mode button. Before we get going, I was gonna say there's a part here you guys want to see. This guy, when I was pulling past him, this is the first time that I've seen a random person riding around on a really decent scooter, like a real scooter. I consider, I'm sorry, not trying to, I don't mean to insult anyone, but a real scooter. He's got a solar EQ. And when I glanced over, a lot of times I have trouble kind of looking over and glancing over it and seeing what the scooter is. But in this case, I glanced over and I can see the color. It's got that mint green color of the solar. And so I like, this is the solar EQ. And then I can see this little fin. Those are at a glance, like not moving. I mean, not now where I can freeze it. And let's see if I can get a little better. Try to get a little better, a closer look at that. If I could stop it. Well, just barely. Anyway, so you can see here, he's moving on that thing too. He was moving. Like I said, I saw him over there, kind of flying pretty good on that thing. And I looked down and I saw, like I said, this green color. And I saw this little fin right here. And I said, that looks like an EQ. I couldn't tell this part. You could tell that now that's a two-piece stem. And, I could definitely tell by looking at it, this is a solar EQ. But that's what I thought when I looked, and the thing that gave it away for me at a glance was the color. And then that fin in the back looks just like the solar scooter. So anyway, really cool. Happy I saw someone riding what I consider like a real scooter, like an awesome scooter. I love the EQ in a sense. The only thing I don't like about it is I don't like the finger throttle with the stupid display. I hate it. I would never own it. I don't like the two-piece stem, but that's something that's more like if it were a good enough deal, I could try it, But the stupid finger throttle with the display, like, no. The finger throttle will be one thing. Even if I had to put up with that, if it were a center display, maybe I could change the throttle out. But I can't even do that with this. So the Solar EQ is not a scooter that I would personally own. But I think it's super cool that he has this one. And I was kind of happy to see someone with a cool scooter. Starting to see people more and more cool PEVs around as well. This one, I wish he would wear gear. Obviously, he's got a Cowboys jersey on though. So go Cowboys. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to point that out during the ride. I was able to pick that out while I was riding. I glanced over at him, and then once I got home and reviewed the footage, confirmed what I thought, which was that it was a Solar EQ. So very cool. Props to that guy. Like I said, he was moving pretty good. I wish he would wear a helmet and some gear. But I'm pretty psyched about him on that scooter. He was rolling. He glanced down. I don't know if he had a bump or something. He kind of glanced down. But yeah, he was moving. He was doing a decent little speed on the Solar EQ. So pretty sweet. Pretty happy. Like I said, to see that. The other one I saw the other day, and I didn't know what it. I didn't pick it out that quickly. This one I had a better angle at. It was across the street, and I just kind of looked right over it. And sometimes that's difficult because of the distance, but it was just the color in that little fin, a little fin at the back there, the tail of the scooter that just clicked in my head. I'm like, that's an EQ, and but anyway, other day I was on a little bike path that I ride on my unicycle, and I passed up a guy on a Anioki, I believe it was the A8. And I have to go back and look at the footage. I'll do that video in the future though, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that. But I did not know that's what that was. I saw the handlebars that have that. They kind of come up like this, you know, and they have but there's a lot of bikes similar to that kind of look like that from the front. If I had got a good side view of it because of the way the Aniokis look, I would have been able to pick it out. That was easy in the video, because Anioki's got the big letters and it's got that huge frame where the battery goes. But like I said, I was pretty close to him, and he was passing me up as I was passing him, and I just kind of glanced down. All I really got a good view of was the handlebars, and so I thought it was another like little moped style e-bike with those same little, you know, kind of handlebars, some generic, you know, thing off Amazon or Walmart or something like that, was my guess. But then when I came and reviewed the footage, it happened to be the Anioki A8. So pretty sweet, pretty awesome to see that. Like I said, he wasn't moving very fast on it or anything like that. He was just moving along, and so like I said, these cooler and cooler scooters and e-bikes, and eventually I'll run into a EUC. I've heard of one or two around, but I haven't seen any. And so in any case, gonna get some slot skis here. What do you guys think about piercing? She's got the bull ring nose ring. It's pretty crazy, right? I think they're interesting. You know, when I was a kid, I had piercings, and I had a nose ring, not a bull ring, just one on my left nostril. But I grew out of that. I always liked piercings, though. As you know, growing up, I was like my ears and my nose. That's it. I pierced one side of my nose, and I had my ear pierced a couple times here and there. I've got one tattoo. I got it when I was 19, and I said when I was 19, I said this is the only tattoo I'm ever gonna get. And I I said, everyone's like, no, you get a tattoo, you're gonna start getting tattooed up and all this stuff. And I was like, I'm not. I'm just gonna get one tattoo. And it was I didn't exactly plan it to be that big of a tattoo, but it's about like takes up the whole right side of my calf. I don't know if it showed up in some of my videos or something when I was doing something, not sure, but it's it takes up the whole right side of my calf pretty much. It's Bugs Bunny off a t-shirt back when I was 19. So there was t-shirts that had like these Bugs Bunny, like it's called like Thugs Bunny. It kind of had like, they were kind of like thugged out. Bugs Bunny and Taz like standing side by side, you know. And then what was my brother, my younger brother and I, he was like a little shorter than me, so it's kind of like we had those t-shirts like he was the Taz and I was like the Bugs Bunny of the, you know, him and I or whatever. I got a lot of brothers, but that was, you know, we were hanging out a lot during that time. So I got that. That was the idea for it. I got that from a guy who did my brother's tattoo. My brother ended up he did go crazy with his tattoos. But I just got that one. It was like from a friend. My brother was trying to learn how to do tattoos. His buddy had done a really good tattoo on him and only paid $30, you know, $30 for the tattoo. So I never had any complaints. And I've considered doing other stuff since then, but nothing's really just sat with me. And to this day, I've still only got the one tattoo, and that probably isn't going to change. Not because I said it, just because that was my intention when I got it. I wasn't planning on getting a bunch of tattoos, and I never did. So, they missed my cinnamon rolls. I get over here and they give me my food, and I'm not going to sit there and like go through it in the drive-thru. And especially I'm on my scooter, so I get over here and I'm trying to like put all my stuff up. Oh my God, this dude is like, I want to turn the sound on for a second because this guy over here is like Mr. Show. Like, I don't know if you've seen this group. I don't want to talk bad on the guy, but I don't mean it in a bad way. But like, if you see this video, man, I got nothing but love for you. If you want to do some stuff on YouTube, let me know. He's got this personality, man, that is just over the top. It's just over the top and everything. I don't know. He's got to be on something. He reminds me of like Chris Farley. He's just like, everything is like, he's got like these expressions with his hands and he's screaming at the top of his lungs, and everything that he's explaining, he has to do in this like just crazy, man. I'm gonna try to unmute this and see if I can catch a glimpse of him just going over there. Like, he's just with his friends. He's just over there with a couple of feet. Maybe he's showing off with the females. I don't know. Maybe this is a double date or something. But they're all just sitting over there hanging out, talking in the parking lot and stuff. And he is just going on and on and on at level 11. Like, he's at level 11. I mean, I don't know if he's juiced up on something, but he's just over there like bouncing around and throwing his hands. And I mean, there's nobody that can hear him in that parking lot. Look, you can see him in the back over here. I'm just gonna reverse this because it's hilarious. And he said something about being on a podcast. So watch, look, he's coming. Look at him. He's running. You see this guy? He's in the inner reflection. This guy is just, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna unmute it. I don't want to hear what she sounds. I just want to see if we can hear this guy. I don't know how well it's gonna pick it up. Okay, no problem. No problem. I know it. Oh my God! I'm sorry. He's over there talking about.
Did you already talk to her?
Yeah, I didn't get the cinnamons.
Yeah, she's getting them.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this playing just for a bit because of the sound. But yeah, as you can see, he's running around. At this particular, he was talking about someone getting hit in the face and bleeding. Nothing funny about that. But the way he's telling the story over there, he's like going through it like he's the one that got hit in the face, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs, and he's way over animated, and man, I would love to get him on a podcast because he would run away with the show. He'd run away. Everything he describes is like over the top antics and screaming and yelling. He's like, and it was just pretty hilarious. So and actually entertaining. I'm not saying anything bad. It wasn't like one time. It was like the whole time I kept looking over and he's jumping around, screaming about something. And like I said, I don't usually. There's not a lot going on in the audio, so I don't usually play it unless there's something interesting to listen to. But I want to see if I can catch. He's pretty far away. I'm not catching. You can kind of hear it a little bit back then when he was jumping around. And he was talking about the. I was remember that because he was in the reflection. He was talking about this blood coming out of this guy's nose, and it was just, oh man, it was just funny. It wasn't a serious situation. The guy wasn't. Somebody just bumped heads. Or I don't. But he was just. He's yelling, ah! I mean, top of like he actually got hit in the nose, man. He's like, full, like, like their cameras, like he's being like, he's on set, But anyway, it's just it was so one of the funniest things. I kept looking over there, like, what the crap is going on with this guy? You hear him? He's still screaming. He's still screaming. He never stops. I'm trying to like try not to be like obvious, but this whole time I'm sitting over here trying to like do my stuff, and he's just over there like bouncing around, yelling and screaming, and he's just telling stories. He's just over there telling stories. He's not upset. He's not he's not actually getting emotional. He's just telling stories. He's just being the storyteller guy, which is pretty cool. I love being around those kind of people. Like I said, I love to hang out with the guy, and if he wanted to get on a podcast or something like that, he said something about a podcast, and I almost asked him. I was like, dude, you're like podcast like gold, because he will just take over the whole show and run away with it with his over the top personality. He's still. I'm gonna roll by him. He's still yelling. He's like Chris Farley yelling over there, dude. I hope I catch a little bit when we ride by. But this was him like the whole time. Like it wasn't like a little bit. It was like the whole time. He was holding his head back right there. Oh man, crazy. All right, gonna leave that guy alone. That was pretty funny stuff, man. I'm pretty entertained by it. I'm sure those guys were just as entertained, if not more entertained. I was like, man, who is this guy putting on a show for? Like, he's just, oh man, hilarious. But on back, this is the fun part about riding the scooter around. Isn't necessarily always about the scooter. It's about the people that you come in contact with when in the situations that you happen to stumble upon while you're out riding on your scooter or whatever. All right, guys. I don't think I have anything else to chat about today. Just gonna kind of chat and have a little fun looking at some footage with this soon again. And I'm always looking out for people doing these things out here running around. I was talking to my buddy about doing a compilation. I don't know if I still have all the footage. I have so much footage, but there's so many times that I am at a crosswalk where I go to pull out and someone, I think, I looked at a couple situations. I probably have a couple more since the last time we looked at them, but it's always someone not paying attention, about to pull out, doesn't see you. So you've got to look for them twice as hard. If you enjoyed this content and you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And happy riding.
He's got wheels and a dream on the fly. Zooms past the world, electric and spry. Through the city he weaves like a bird in the sky. The legend of the electric scooter guy. No gas, no fumes, just a hum in the air. A helmet on crooked, like he doesn't care. With a backpack full of snacks and a gleam in his eye. He's the hero we need, the electric scooter guy. Oh, scooter guy, you're flying so high, dodging the traffic as you glide by. Street lights flicker as you electrify. You're the one and only electric scooter guy. Potholes can't stop him, he jumps with flair. Wind in his face, like he just doesn't care. Charging his ride while sipping a chai. The unstoppable electric scooter guy. Ah, yeah. Late night rides under neon glow. His battery's low, but he still won't go. He's a rebel on wheels, no need to comply. Forever rolling, the electric scooter guy. Oh, scooter guy, you're flying so high, dodging the traffic as you glide by. Street lights flicker as you electrify. You're the one and only electric scooter guy. Oh, scooter guy, you're flying so high, dodging the traffic as you glide by. Street lights flicker as you electrify. You're the one and only electric scooter guy. Electric scooter guy. Electric scooter guy.